And this is the thing that they said that could wipe the world. People panicking with the riots and stuff, because the cloning thing, people cloning people's kids, messing them up in the brain is bad enough. Remotely killing people who they don't like, which might happen to me, you never know. Thing is, the lizards. Okay, lizards been around a long time, like since before ancient Egypt and everything. And the symbol, you know, that eye, the eye of Horus with the squiggly hanging out of it,
Yeah.
that has to do with lizards. It's a lizard symbol. It means two things. It's a pro-lizard symbol, and it also means beware, there's lizards here. Okay, there's 3 different kinds of lizards. I'll tell you all about them. They're called vril. The thing is, I'm not sure if it's 1 L or 2 at the end. It's vril, V-R-I-L-L or V-R-I-L. Germans were into them. They had a club with vril things. Anyway, there's like a 1 to 1.5 foot tall one. That's the vril type 1. It's got scales, red scales. There's a type 2 that is not parasitic, but it's still vicious, nasty, carnivorous. They're all carnivorous. And there's a type 3 that's 8 feet tall that has a real long neck and looks like a gray alien, but it comes from deep underground, like I mean like below deep base deep. Like they need a methane oxygen mix to breathe, and deep underground they got sulfur pools, I guess, that make this stuff. Anyway, they come up underneath the domed bases. The government is complicit with them, basically. Now I have to tell you about the parasitic aspect of the lizards and why the Illuminati and the governments use them, okay? I'm saying this in a nutshell because it's very important. I want to get it all out on your show. Nobody's going to say this for fear of clone torture, remote-controlled death, or death by lizards 1,000 times until you die by a heart attack or something. But I figured I have to tell people because, well, they're getting me there anyway. Like, they eased up lately, asking me not to talk about it anymore, but I'm just going to. Well, the lizards have a thing, okay? They have what's called a proboscis. There's lizards out there today that have a proboscis on their face, okay? These things got it in the middle of their head, okay? And on the top of their head, this is the vril type 1 and 2. The type 2 have a proboscis sheath that comes out, it sticks out. The type 1s, for instance, it's like a chocolate chip, it looks like, basically the tip of it. Now, at one point in these things' lives, because they have a long lifespan, the lizard species, one point in their life, they can slowly wiggle this thing out, eject it, and it goes into somebody's eyeball, okay, another animal. Now, it wiggles in by the sense of taste. They described this to me so, like, when I was like 18 years old there, and told me about it different times throughout the years of going there. They can bring you there every single night if they want to, and they did bring me there every night. They laughed at me when I said I was going to tell the world about this. They said, nobody's ever going to believe me. You won't put it together in a eloquent way. People will think that technology isn't that advanced yet with cloning, because they just clone the sheep, right? No.
Hello, my name is Phil Chupa, and I'm going to talk about the biggest problem in the world right now, probably, which is body snatching by vril parasite and by microchip. Well, vril body snatching is called droning. First of all, the vril is what the Illuminati generally use to take over people, and makes it easier for them to have the people do what they want. The vril are underground reptiles that predate humans, and the vril type 1 are about a foot tall with eye stalks and reddish scales, different colors, different regions. They have they're just dumb reptiles. They're smarter than chimpanzee, but they're not as smart as humans. They have a compulsion to body snatch other living creatures, and they prefer humans because it's their best quality of life they can get. Now, they have a proboscis that comes out of their head, the top of their spine, over, comes out, and a little worm kind of thing wriggles out, and the person or whatever would need to be immobilized. It need to be drugged or tied up, or you just push it away. But how they do it is, it's parasite biology. It is not mystical, magical. It is not like latching on to your chakra or whatever. It is parasite biology.
Alright, let's talk about vril lizards. Vril lizards, V-R-I-L, lizards, L-I-Z-A-R-D-S, are lizards. They have a proboscis on their head. They can inject it into someone's eye, drone them, other person dies, vril takes over the body, the other vril body is dead. Let's talk about how they look. They have red scales, and there's also some with black scales and black skin. They have scales up and down their most of their arm and most of their legs. Their stomach is a little bit exposed. They're usually red. There's black ones. And their face is scaleless, so it looks like kind of like an insect almost. It's disgusting. They look pretty gross.
The lizard thing, they just totally take them over. They do it a lot. It used to be, it's a Luciferian thing. They said that these lizards were the sons of Satan or whatever, Lucifer or whatever. They're not, though. They're just a species of lizard that survived the extinction of the dinosaurs by being way, way underground.
This first one, this is found in Japan, so they're even represented in Japan. They're represented globally. We don't know if they are currently in power. We don't know exactly what they are. So we're just going to look at pictures, and I'll sort of give you the information that I can discern from it, because they are represented in most cultures. So we have that. We have these. We see a lot of these sorts of creatures throughout the world with the serpent tail and a man's either a torso or a head. There are so many stories in Chinese legends, in legends worldwide, of genetic altering of humanity, and sort of that these creatures were formed with DNA in the past, and that's why we have so many of these representations, and that they were killed off in both the flood and they were just killed off. I mean, a lot of these things, and some of them are still around. Some of these things are still seen today. Not the giant serpent creatures, because what we hear about them is that they essentially went underground, stuff like that. Again, look, these would be called nagas. They were huge. I mean, this person is huge.
Back in 1989, I was starting to have flashes of things, and my life was not what it seemed to be, which is why I started looking into it. The Aryans, and the purity of the blood, and what it's all about is that the blood and the menstrual blood contains something that is important for the propagation of this race that is controlling things on this planet. They're called the Illuminati, and the Illuminati are actually run by these 13 bloodlines, which are all of the royal families in Europe and in England, and they need the blood because they are in fact not human. They take human shape. They are reptilians. And they need the blood. The blood helps them maintain their reptilian shape, and it helps them maintain their sanity, and it helps them to live in this world because they are not from this world. But what they need is, for it to be secreted in the blood, is they need terrorization of their victims before they are killed for their blood. and they have to terrorize them to get this to come out in the blood and be secreted in the blood. They are killed at that moment as they are staring into their eyes, and not only do they can't hold their shape when this happens. The human shape they cannot hold. They go back into reptilian shape as this is happening, because it's like an animalistic type of excitement.
And it circles the optic nerve until it reaches the back of your optic nerve, and it releases the spinal fluid that contains the parasitic cells into your brain. And the person dies. The person's consciousness dies. You're not in there somewhere. The person is not temporary. It's a permanent transfer, one way, for the lizard and the poor creature. And releases the parasitic cells and the spinal fluid. It's horribly painful, and the person dies and the parasite dominates. It's not symbiotic. It's complete domination, and the real parasite takes over the human body.
Underestimate the number of deaths. So for example, if you say, well, look, underestimate the number of deaths. So for example, if you say, well, look, vaccine might work down the line.
Interesting. Well, I mean,
vaccine might work down the line.
Interesting. Well, I mean,
but they don't have a tongue. I'll tell you about their mouths. It takes a while. Basically, they have a blood spike. Okay, this is what they call a chupacabra, too. They come up from underground, different spots all over the world, right? Like worms out of a rotten apple, different spots, and then they infiltrate the society there. But the drones today have erased, well, 100 years ago, erased any existence of these real lizards from, like, Egyptian carvings on walls. They would smash them, right? Or books that had anything in them about them, they would burn them, because drones don't want to get found out and sent off and killed.
Oftentimes, they will just rip into the victim and eviscerate them and start eating the flesh of this person too, and the fat from the intestinal area is highly valued, as they use it on their skin. And they drink the blood, and the blood is highly sought after, and it goes according also to rank within these creatures.
Which makes it really scary to think, well, you need 60% of us to be immune, to have immunity, in order to stop this from spreading all the time. So that's why a vaccine is going to be really, really important. Looking at household transmission to see what's going on with kids and adults as well. But
oftentimes they will just rip into the victim and eviscerate them and start eating the flesh of this person too, and the fat from the intestinal area is highly valued, as they use it on their skin. And they drink the blood, and the blood is highly sought after, and it goes according also to rank within these creatures. So there are changes going on in the earth. It seems they're not able to hold their shape like they once were able to, and people see them shapeshift more and more, and they need the blood to try and maintain it, to try and maintain their human form.
We do great jobs, and we sort of are moms by day, and then at night we can, you know, put the guitars on and play clubs and rock and roll. It's fun.
And people, do you have your fans who like have followed you, but like know, like you have all the kids? Everyone has 2 kids in the band, right?
Yeah, has 2 kids. We have, we have a lot of fans who've been with us since the beginning and who missed us in those years in the 90s when we weren't playing music, and we're thrilled when we came back. We actually toured Australia in 2005, and there were people who had tickets to a tour we had scheduled back in '89 that we had to cancel. And so they showed up with their tickets. I still have my ticket, you know, and they were so happy that we were back.
Oh, how
as well as a lot of new fans who found out about us through their parents.
Yeah, as well.
You
We
know,
have a lot of
that's
young
really,
fans, which is
really
great.
crazy.
So how can people catch up with you guys today? Like, where's the best way? You guys have a website?
Yeah, thebangles.com is probably, the best place to go check on stuff.
Find
That's
out
our
all the
website.
new news. We have a great community, a great online community. People just who are very welcoming and talk to each other. So definitely post, and it's very welcoming and lovely. And then we're doing a bunch of shows this summer.
You're still able to get tickets for this Thursday at House of Blues,
I
right?
believe so.
Yes.
I think there's still tickets for that. That's on Thursday night, and then Friday we're at the Orange County Fair. We're playing with Heart, which is going to be so special for me.
Yeah, for me too.
Debbie and I used to play Heart songs when we were in high school. In our band. So it's a big deal.
Oh, how about you guys have never played together before?
No.
So you guys still get starstruck then after everything that you've been through?
Oh, yeah.
I believe there's a time coming that because of what I've been told, when they are not going to bother having to hold that human shape as they had to before, and they want that time to come. It's then about 4,000 years ago, the reptilians arrived here and again began to take over. And they instilled themselves in different places underground in the earth, and also this one part of them, the ruling part, took over and became involved in the politics and in the religion, and started controlling through these means at that point in time. Reptilian that come from another dimension, they actually they materialize from out of another dimension and are present at rituals, and they are so powerful, and their presence is there's such an evilness about them, and they want out of this other dimension. Old ones are called out, and they are what Christianity would have called the demons.
They have like these weird insect, claws coming out of their mouth. It kind of looks like a crab almost. They have eye stalks like a crab or an insect again. Their pupils are usually green. Their entire eyeball is usually green. It can be black. They kind of look like crustaceans. They have claws. Okay, they have a small claw and a big claw, kind of like a lobster. Okay, and they're about 1 foot tall. And there's type 2s, which are a little bigger. And there's 3s. There's fleas and stuff like that. We're not going to get into that because to me, they're not the same at all. But apparently they are. I don't know. But we're going to talk about these. They like music. That's the one good thing about them. Everything else sucks.
Here you can see over here on the far right, that's a type of creature. Far left, type of creature. These ones with the masks where my mouse is right now, these are represented in Thai traditional dance as well. Horse-headed creatures, those are worldwide representations. These masked creatures right here, these are represented in Thai dance culture. This is what they call the parasites, or the parasitic race that took over humanity, essentially. So if you're really looking for what could be there, these masks are seen throughout the world as being what has taken over. So that's just a theory. But again, these multi-armed creatures.
And then they have these children that they're kidnapping and bringing in from other countries, and no one misses them because these are third world countries. And children they have the most energy, the purest energy, they're the highest form of sacrifice. They are used as actual blood sacrifices during these rituals because of, again, reptilians needing their blood. The blood will be gathered in a goblet, and it will be dispersed among the reptilians.
We do great jobs, and we sort of are moms by day, and then at night we can, put the guitars on and play clubs and rock and roll. It's fun.
And people, do you have your fans who like have followed you, but like know like you have all the kids? Everyone has 2 kids in the band, right?
Yeah, has 2 kids. We have, we have a lot of fans who've been with us since the beginning and who missed us in those years in the 90s when we weren't playing music. And we're thrilled when we came back. We actually toured Australia in 2005, and there were people who had tickets to a tour we had scheduled back in '89 that we had to cancel. And so they showed up with their tickets. I still have my ticket, you know, and they were so happy that we were back.
Oh, how
As well as a lot of new fans who found out about us through their parents.
Yeah, as well. We have a lot of
That's
young
really,
fans, which is great.
crazy.
So how can people catch up with you guys today? Like, where's the best way? You guys have a website?
Yeah, thebangles.com is probably the best place to go check on stuff.
Find
That's
out
our website.
all the new news. We have a great community, a great online community. People just who are very welcoming and talk to each other. So definitely post, and it's very welcoming and lovely. And then we're doing a bunch of shows this summer.
You're still able to get tickets for this Thursday at House of Blues,
I
right?
believe so.
Yes.
I think there's still tickets for that. That's on Thursday night, and then Friday we're at the Orange County Fair. We're playing with Heart, which is going to be so special for me.
Yeah, for me too.
Debbie and I used to play Heart songs when we were in high school, in our band. So it's a big deal.
Oh, how about you guys have never played together before?
No.
So you guys still get starstruck then after everything that you've been through?
Oh, yeah.
In the past, people were drawing and creating from what they saw around them because this world used to be a bit different than it is now. I mean, only in the past 100, 150 years, 200 years are we in this sort of paradigm of this sort of creating a reality that is not reality, that we're manifesting demons and creatures because we are having them injected into our consciousness by the TV reality, by the parasitic idea of surrealism and abstraction.
These things are really horrible. They don't really have enough intelligence to have compassion or love or interest. They just live. They just exist. They breed. They're asexual. They have a penis and a vagina.
It is about the worship and homage to Satan, the great deceiver Satan, on that night, on Halloween, at this church.
You've conducted them in Europe and the United States. Can we start with the United States?
Yes, I have seen at rituals, I have seen George Bush, I have seen Madeleine Albright, I have seen Henry Kissinger, I have seen Ronald Reagan, and I have also, by the way, seen his wife, Nancy Reagan. I have seen Hillary Clinton before I knew she was Hillary Clinton at the time. At these rituals, she is involved. The other people that I have named I have seen shapeshift into reptilians. J. Rockefeller, and he shapeshifts. These people seem to all be connected to the Illuminati. Gerald Ford, I have seen shapeshift. Dr. Joseph Mengele, who took me around to these rituals a lot of the time, was also a shapeshifter. There are people in the European countries that I've seen shapeshift and be involved. The Queen there, I've seen Princess Margaret there, I've seen Charles there, and they shapeshift. I have seen Tony Blair there, and he shapeshifts. They all have their quirks as to how they act, even in their reptilian form.
And where you guys just came from New Orleans, right?
We were there a few months ago.
We finished a tour up at the House of Blues in New Orleans. So that was great because that's my adopted home city, because I lived there for almost 10 years in the 90s.
We were actually in Vegas over the weekend playing at Mandalay Bay.
Oh, okay. And the House of Blues there, right?
Yeah, no,
actually,
at
on
the outdoor
on the
venue.
beach.
Beat. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Which is great because
It's
you're
really
playing
fun.
to the crowd and they're standing in the water right in front of the stage. I mean, they get to be cool and comfortable.
Yeah.
90 degrees until they get 10 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
or whatever.
What's the best part about touring now versus when you guys were doing it in the 80s?
We get to take a little breather in between. You know, we were sort of non-stop for almost 10 years, and I think that just kind of wears you out. But we get to have a little breath and have perspective and balance because we get to have our families and, you know, we get a little bit of everything. It's kind of like we get to do it all.
We scale things to our own requirements.
Yeah.
We really don't let ourselves get overwhelmed, and we did.
We're moms,
Yes,
right?
we multitask, but at the same time we know our limitations. So.
Again, another representation. India, same thing. Again, this is Japan, I think. Look, it's the same representation, same idea. Mayan, same representation, same idea. Now, I think that we're going to get into the creatures now, of where these are beings that were sort of genetically created. On the website, it's called Formorians, but I'm just going to call them creatures that were created. People in the past were creating what they saw in front of them. There are so many stories of these creatures everywhere. Again, the multi-armed creatures, even black people being represented. The dog-headed creatures, there's stories of these coming out of like 500 years ago, 400 years ago. They were fierce fighters, extremely powerful. They would literally tear you limb from limb.
But they don't wear anything underneath the robes, because what is going to happen, what the rituals are all about, they're going to shapeshift, and they can't have anything on under the robes. And there are orgy kind of things that go on at the rituals also. And
involving the royal family of Britain.
Yes, involving the royal family of Britain, and the sacrifice and the eating of, consuming the sacrifice, and they are involved in that.
And you've seen them do that?
Yes, I have seen them do that.
People in Britain, listening to what you're saying, would obviously be staggered, I guess anywhere in the world, but what would stagger them mostly is, in Britain, the Queen Mother has an image of being the nation's grandmother. The nice old lady, and good old Queen Mum, what a lovely lady. What's your experience of the Queen Mother?
She is very cold in reality, and she is very cruel. She obviously, from what I see, enjoys consuming human flesh. It's sickening.
They have teeth, and they also have a blood spike. I don't think they have tongues, but they have a blood spike. I mean, they probably do have tongues, but they can talk, kind of. And also, they write stuff on the wall sometimes with their claws, just, scratch marks. And they can actually operate simple machinery. They're that smart and nothing more. It's just machinery. It's soulless material. These things have no compassion. They just care about breeding and killing and eating, basically. And they kill slowly because they feed off of fear. They get like a very intense high off of fear. They love it. It's like they vibrate with it. It's just, it's very sick. And there's people like that too.
Do they go into a different state in terms of age and strength and all these other attributes when they actually shapeshift?
Yes, the human body that they choose to occupy or take when it was young, it ages, but when they take the reptilian form, these reptilians live hundreds of years, and so they have to have taken more than one human body to live in. A lot of them are much older, and I'm including the Queen Mother in this, older than people think that she is. She's been in more than one body, human form.
Which makes it really scary to think, well, you need 60% of us to be immune, to have immunity in order to stop this from spreading all the time. So that's why a vaccine is going to be really, really important. Looking at household transmission to see what's going on with kids and adults as well. But
it's just a literal transformation that happens very quickly, and they get taller and they get bigger, and they don't look at all as reptilians like they do as humans, and thus the wearing of the robes, because if they were in clothes, the clothes would be torn apart. They're just about 7 feet tall. Some are a little shorter, or to a foot shorter. Some are a little bit taller than 7 feet.
What is it about the rituals that allow the shape-shifting to happen?
When the victims are starting to be sacrificed, it's the scent of the blood, and they start shape-shifting at that point in time, and they can hardly wait to get to the blood. It's like they're addicted to the blood, and then the consumption of human flesh that follows.
What have you seen the Queen or any of the royal family do in relation to that? Have you seen them sacrifice and consume human flesh?
There are certain times when they will actually do a sacrifice, or there will have been someone doing a sacrifice, and it's not happening fast enough for them. So they will step in and finish it themselves, because the sacrifice the ritual has to be gone through. It's sacrificially, ritualistically, it has to have been gone through, and they will step right in and just start tearing the throat out, and they're getting all this blood from the jugular vein at the same time, and that has happened when there are many there that are going to be sacrificed, and they just can't wait, and tearing into the contents of the abdomen and stomach of a victim afterwards.
Who have you seen do that?
I've seen the Queen Mother do that, and Prince Philip and Charles. I've seen Guy de Rothschild do this. It seems that I've seen it more among royalty, or so-called royalty, do this than people that are not titled. That they don't seem to. They seem like it feels like they don't dare. But they shape-shift nonetheless. But it's like the royals that step in and just start tearing away as they can hardly wait.
How long can they hold the reptilian form in these occasions?
During the rituals, it's much easier for them to hold their reptilian form. They can stay in that form. What it is that they have a hard time holding their human form. And as long as they're around blood and the scent of blood, they can't hold human form.
Was there any way, when Diana was married to Charles, without attending a blood ritual, that she could have seen him or one of the others become a reptile?
They have a tendency when they're asleep to shapeshift, and they have to consciously hold their form, and when they're asleep, they have a tendency to not hold human form and to shapeshift into reptilian. That scent of blood would tend to cause a momentary shapeshift.
which makes it really scary to think, well, you need 60% of us to be immune, to have immunity in order to stop this from spreading all the time. So that's why a vaccine is going to be really, really important. Looking at household transmission to see what's going on with kids and adults as well. But